Hi everyone, and welcome to the Pod of the Damned. I'm your host Ian, and joining me as always this week is the other two-thirds of the trio. First up, it's Candy. Welcome in. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm also tired. This is an unusual
I'm
recording
still
time.
wiping away like the tears.
This is an unusual
Like
recording
I gotta
time
get up in
for
the morning, my
us.
eyes run.
Normally we record like middle of your day, later in the evening for us, but today we're doing an early recording because you've got a holiday coming up.
Very excited about it. Going back to Vegas.
Yeah, yeah, I'm jealous. I'm really jealous.
It's so
Somewhere I
fun
still
there.
want to go, by the way.
It
I'm
is
su-
really, really cool there.
I'm surprised you've never been to Vegas, Nico, because it does seem like the kind of place that you would just like love and jump all over.
See, my theory is if I go to Vegas, I'm either going there and getting bankrupt or I'm coming back rich. There's no in between.
Well, the trick is to take money you can afford to lose. Like you just plan on losing. So take a couple of grand that you can afford to lose, and then have fun losing it. But then you surprise yourself because sometimes you'll win quite a bit and you'll be like way up and you're like, holy shit, like what do I do now? Because I'm still gonna be here for 3 days. Do I want to keep betting? Do I want to go check out other, casinos or whatever? I don't know. It's fun.
It's like
And it's called Sin City for a reason. Like everything is legal there. So
Yeah,
it's how they
it's
get
wild.
you.
fucking
It's how
mental.
they get you though, isn't it? Like if you do happen to win and you're like, oh, I've still got like 3, 4 days left. What the fuck else are you supposed to do?
There's like shows like I love Lady Gaga. I'm not much of a pop person, but Lady Gaga was doing like a piano bar
hmm
set when I was there in October last year. There's like, if you're into like magic shows, they're all over the place there. There's great restaurants, there's all kinds of cool shit. So, and I stayed in like the place I go to is the oldest hotel casino in Vegas. It was before the mob came and like took it over. Um, and so it's called the El Cortez, and it's like really old historic building, kind of haunted supposedly. I never had anything crazy happen to me, but um, so like yeah, you can't sleep at night, or everything's loud. It's a 24-hour town, so you go downstairs and you're just like, fuck it, I'm gonna hit the machines. I'm gonna go play some blackjack. I just don't go in the high limit room because I'm not a high limit girl. But there's always something to do. Everything's always open.
I would just like this image of me being in
Nice.
there. There's people putting like thousands and thousands of dollars down on each hand, and I'm there just being like $2 chip, please.
Well, the thing is, it's like there's a high limit room, and that's where they do all that. But the rest of it is all, for regular folk like us,
Yeah, us
not wealthy
normies.
folk like us, or we're not as crazy people who, aren't gonna throw down, $1,000 bet. Like, oh no, 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 I'm not gonna do that.
Well, I really hope you
See,
enjoy.
I'd be stupid enough to do
You would be, yeah. I really hope you enjoy your holiday
that.
and you come back all nice and refreshed from
Thank
being
you.
away. Also joining us, you've heard him already. I've not introduced him yet. It's Nico. How's it going, buddy?
I thought how's it going?
That's good. How are your ribs?
I, I fucking still killing me.
Mm.
Like, oh, just as I say that, somebody jumps on them. Thank you. Yeah. Anyway, they're still sore. I definitely re-broke them, which is never a good thing.
No, breaking ribs is never.
At least I'm past the coughing season stage.
Yeah, that did look a little rough. I'm not gonna lie, but at least you're feeling a little bit better, so that's always a start. Anyway. But yes, welcome on into everyone. Welcome on in if anyone who is listening to this podcast. In case you haven't noticed by now, we are a horror podcast that deep dives into a different topic every single week in our quest to create a leaderboard of the best and worst horror movies of all time. This is episode number 113, and as you can probably guess by Candy's t-shirt that she is wearing today, we're covering the 1979 Fulci movie Zombie, or Zombie 2, or Zombie Flesh Eaters, whatever you want to call it. What do you guys know it most
Yeah,
as?
I call it zombie, but I have a little fun calling it zombie too sometimes because it throws people. They're like, what do you mean zombie too? It's like, well, and then I get to tell my little Dawn of the Dead and how Argento is involved in putting that out because I love my Italian horror. And obviously, this is my pick. So, yeah, I usually like to throw zombie 2 out there just to see who gets it.
Well, you can talk a little bit about that as
See,
well.
I know it mainly as Zombie too.
Zombie 2, yeah, because you got really confused, Nico, about what we were covering today.
Yeah,
But then when I was looking it up to
because well,
what,
I've always seen it when I was younger. You see,
yeah,
this is the first rewatch I've watched since I was a kid, basically.
Oh
Yeah.
wow.
Like I've not watched it as an adult, and it's like I only knew it as Zombie 2 because I'm not gonna lie, it was a pirate video cassette when fucking I watched it.
Pay for your movies and TV
Slightly
shows,
illegal, but
people.
anyway. Yeah.
Well, when I looked
So,
at when I
but
was
back
looking
in the day, everyone did it.
when I was looking it up to try and find it, I had to search for zombie flesh eaters because that's what it is on Prime as well. So just to avoid confusion, this is Lucio Fulci's 1979 movie Zombie. So it could be known as any one of those things for anyone who's maybe sitting there and has no fucking idea what the fuck we're covering today. But that is what we're going to be talking about. Before we do that, though, let's do some housekeeping. If you would like to support this show on our social media platforms, you can do so. We're on X, Twitter at Damn Podcast. We're on Facebook and Instagram at Pod of the Damned. You can email us at podofthedamned@gmail.com, and you can subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Pod of the Damned. Nico, since you've started posting to your socials this week, where can you be found?
On the socials that I posted to this week.
You are on Twitter at Nico22Ross. Yeah,
That
I think
one,
that's
yeah.
right. And I think your Instagram handle is like you full named yourself on your Instagram, right?
Fuck knows. That like I posted on it for the first time in God knows how
I
long.
know,
I
but
got
like,
a lot of responses though.
yes, because it's a first post, and the first posts normally get like an additional response. You're on Instagram at Nicholas Ross 8029. Your full name and yourself. We're just gonna dox you right now as well.
Yeah.
But
I have no idea how to fucking change.
well, go follow Nico on those things and force him to do some more posts. Candy, where can people find you?
You can find me at Candy Final Girl on X, Candy the Final Girl on Instagram. I have a Facebook, but usually the only posts that are on there are I have it hooked to my Instagram, so it looks like I'm posting on Facebook, but I'm really posting from Instagram.
Yeah.
So those are usually the main two. I'm also on Pot of the Damned X. I haven't been the last week or so because I've been out of town a lot this week, and then I'm getting ready to go on vacation. But I plan to be on there more.
Awesome. Right. Before we get into the actual movie, because we haven't actually done, we used to do this all the time. We haven't actually done this for a good few weeks. It's predictions time, guys. Where do you think that Zombie is going to land on the leaderboard? This is the 103rd movie that we have reviewed on the podcast.
Try to think.
The silence is deafening.
Because I'm trying to I always overthink everything. So I'm gonna say that this movie is mostly beloved. So I'm gonna say maybe 30.
30th place. Okay.
See, I actually think slightly higher. I think like mid-20s.
All right. Okay.
Yeah.
All right, that's interesting. We'll see at the end of the episode how close you guys are. But if you are happy, then shall we go on and just start talking about it?
Yeah, go for it.
Awesome. Right. So
I normally have it in the background, but it's not working.
Oh dear. Oh dear. So today we are talking all about Zombie. This movie was released in 1979. It was directed by Lucio Fulci and stars Tisa Farrow, Ian McCulloch, and Richard Johnson. The IMDb plot is as follows. Strangers searching for a young woman's missing father arrive at a tropical island where a doctor desperately seeks the cause and cure of recent epidemic of the undead. Now, Candy, probably not to the surprise to anyone who has followed this podcast for a while now, they will know that this was your choice for us to review this week. So why don't you go ahead, tell people why we're reviewing this, what this movie means to you, like, take the floor.
Okay, anyone who knows like the slightest bit about me knows I love Italian horror. We've already we've done Tenebrae, so like Giallo Italian horror. This is like Fulci started out in Giallo, like with Don't Torture a Duckling, Lizard in a Woman's Skin, but then he moved on to like just being as he's known as the Godfather of Gore. Also Herschel Gordon Lewis is known as that, so it's like a shared name. But Yeah, I love Fulci films, but anybody who loves Fulci films or has seen Fulci films knows that you're not really there for the plot. You're there because it's awesome. And I had a hard time deciding, but I kind of went with my eye trauma shirt. This has some great effects in it, great scenes. If you think too hard about the plot, then you're just gonna get confused. You don't worry about that. You're along for the ride. And Fulci really was going for like a return to traditional zombies a bit with this. And I like all zombie stuff, big Romero fan. And Romero does have sort of a tie to this movie. So, that's always cool for me. But yeah, so he did this really interesting, like, but let's bring voodoo back. Let's do that instead of, like the modern zombie of unknown origin, like, is it a probe from Venus or is it a virus? Now, this is it kind of is like the doctor sort of trying to figure out if it's a virus, but it doesn't really matter. Like whatever anybody is doing in this movie, it doesn't really matter. You want to scuba dive with a thong and your tits out, you can do that in this movie. And if you want to see a zombie fight a shark, you can do that in this movie. So it's like it's a really, really fun movie. But yeah, you don't have to break your brain with it, and you still have a lot of fun with it. So
Some of the things you mentioned there, I'd kind of forgotten just how ridiculous parts of this movie actually is.
it's typical Fulci.
And yeah, Nico, do you want to go
Yeah.
next? Like what's your immediate thoughts?
So I remember watching this as a kid, thinking this was fucking epic, right? And this is genuinely the first time I've rewatched it since I was an adult, and I'm not thinking that anymore. I'm sorry, Gandhi. Like, don't get me wrong, it's still fun, but yeah, it's a bit mental. Like,
Now you can't really think too hard on the plot, not on any Fulci
but
movie,
I
really.
like a plot, so
You
like
do,
I
I
you
do
know
do
it's not
like
too.
a
all the
Like,
plot.
time, but yeah,
You
I'm a fiction writer. I love a plot. I mean, I write books and create worlds and write stories, and I like being able to unplug my brain and watch cool shit happen. So I guess like I like the break of that. Like bullshit lets me just I don't have to think. It's kind of cool.
it is very switch your brain off.
yeah, this is what
And
we
don't get me wrong, I do like that sometimes too.
yeah, we've talked about this. I think we've all talked about this before. This is definitely a popcorn movie, isn't it? Where you just like you get yourself on the sofa or snuggled up in bed or whatever it is. You surround yourself with your snacks and your drinks and whatever else you choose, and you just have a blast with it. It's there's no thought to be put into this movie. This is definitely one of those ones where as soon as you try and start delving any kind of deeper into it, you're gonna ruin the entire experience for yourself. Um,
Yeah,
let's talk about the fucking excuse me. Let's talk about the
like this is a zombifying movie because that's what we used to call it, is a
I,
zombifying movie. Like, and no pun intended, we used to call it a zombifying movie because you're there, you're switching your brain off, you're not caring.
I want to talk. Let's talk about some of these more outrageous moments straight off the bat. We have a zombie shark fight in this movie.
Yeah.
Which is awesome.
It's
It,
not.
it is though. It is fucking awesome. And you know what?
Fuck
I
off.
think it's done. Considering
Like,
considering like when this was made, considering their budgetary constraints that they had, I think the zombie shark scene's done really fucking well.
Well, I like the backstory to that scene, which makes it kind of cooler once you learn it. Like it was the shark trainer,
Hmm.
it played the zombie, and they weren't sure how to tranquilize the shark, so they were just kind of guessing, and they were just like, well, I think it's tranquilized. We injected it with some shit, obviously not okay to do.
Yeah.
But I don't agree with that, but it's kind of funny in a weird way that they weren't sure if it was tranquilized. They just gave it a bunch of drugs, and it's like, I don't know if this is gonna work on a shark, but go on in there and wrestle with it. And he's like, all right, I mean, I fuck with sharks, it's my job. So obviously everybody was okay, the shark and the trainer, but I think it's
poor
really cool.
fucking
Like,
shark, though.
Yeah, listen,
I
it's
wouldn't fuck with this shark, but
no, listen,
yeah.
it's again not necessarily, this is not a defense of the movie, but this was a different time. This was treatment of animals was not necessarily at the forefront of people's minds back then. And so, yeah, you know,
Right.
there's a whole host of movies from this sort of time period that, you know, you can say they didn't really take care of the animals pretty well. And there's a whole host of other much,
It makes me feel really old because I also came out in 1979.
yeah.
So I'm like, oh, it's a different time. I'm like, oh God, I'm old.
But here's the thing, right? In the 70s, this is a good one for the 70s because they didn't fucking kill the shark.
Yeah.
Like in the 70s, a lot of horror movies they just fucking killed the animals because they
Well,
could.
it was
It wasn't for scenery or anything. It's just because they could.
it's not
Yeah.
from the 70s, but Friday the 13th famously they killed the snake that's in that movie they killed during the filming. So, you know, like
And we can mention the most infamous, like Cannibal Holocaust,
yeah,
where
which
they
is,
killed.
Oh,
you know,
Ian
so
doesn't like talking about that.
Yeah, it's pretty fucking upsetting.
it is. No thank you. Anyways, so yeah, like I genuinely think though that the shark scene is done really well, and given all the sort of constraints, and it's name me another movie. You're saying it's not done well. Name me a movie that's done it better.
Thank fuck they haven't tried. No, but I was watching that back and I felt fucking sorry for the shark. I'm like, poor bastard and
No,
thing.
but,
You
like,
can tell like half of the time it's trying to get away.
we always right. So the thing is, though, like when it comes to sharks, right? We all everything for the rest of time will be compared to Jaws, right? It just will. Jaws is the gold
Deep
standard.
blue sea, how dare you?
Jaws is the gold standard of shark films, right? And even now, to this day, 2024, there are shark movies coming out that don't look as good as Jaws, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
But that's because nowadays they use CGI and back then it was
but
practical effect.
this movie Zombie has a really fucking great looking shark scene in it, and they still can't get it right now. So, you know, I think a lot of credit has to go for as bizarre and as outrageous as this fucking scene is.
Because it's a fucking real shark and they're abusing it.
No, but then because it's not just the zombie and the shark. You then have to like take into consideration the fact that there's a woman wearing nothing but a fucking thong, and we spend like the camera like they hold the camera on her like crotch area for a number of seconds, and they just keep cutting.
I
What
have
is
a
that
couple
about?
funny things to say about that. Like the whole nude scuba diving thing. Just really
Yeah.
quick, as a woman, one, you have to wear a wetsuit when you dive for a reason because like coral can like kill you really. And it's very cold when you go down deep. It's cold in any body of water. So, and there's pressure down there. So she's,
Yeah.
you know, she makes sure to tuck her little permed hair under a cap, and that's the most she's wearing besides her equipment. She's got this little tiny thong on. I mean, tits out, which okay, cool, I like those, but you know, and then when she hooks the equipment because it does hook under the crotch. I'm like, that is right over. Well, I don't know how far I can go with this.
As far as
You
you
have to
want.
say it.
As far as you want.
Well, it's like right over her. It's right over her clit, and you don't want that's a bundle of nerves, and you don't want heavy equipment that's gonna pull there. I'm like, ow! It makes me kind of cross my legs. I'm like, girl, you were really like
She maybe likes that.
Yeah, Fulci,
I
you know,
don't know.
kind of known as a misogynist, is like, yeah, you're gonna be nude and you're gonna strap this heavy equipment over the most sensitive part of your body, and you're gonna go down in the water where it's cold, and there's gonna be a shark. Have fun.
It's like, yeah.
I'd be like, I think I'm just gonna add another zero onto my paycheck. Thank you very much.
Exactly, yeah.
In a Fulci movie, he'd be like, no.
He'd be like, next.
But no, but like,
We'll find somebody who'll be dumb enough to do it.
listen, in watching this now in 2024 as well, you can definitely see reasons why people will not like this movie. People will not find this to be, you know, we appreciate it. We're horror fans maybe of a certain age, a certain vintage or whatever else that we maybe have either, you know, we've been around long enough to sort of understand where horrors come from, what it used to be like, such and such. And that doesn't mean that some of the things that happened was okay, because they were not. Some of the things that happened were not okay, like abusing the shark, like the misogyny, and you know, again, we've talked about before the number of other movies where, you know, animals, women, people of color, you know, any sorts of things have been treated just shockingly bad. this by any no stretch is by far from the worst offender, but that doesn't make it okay. So just want to throw it out there. But we would understand why a modern audience would not gravitate towards this film.
Well, funny you saying that. The Deep Blue Sea thing I mentioned earlier. LL Cool J is the first black guy to actually survive the horror movie.
I saw that the other day, and I don't think that's true.
I see. That's what I'm thinking right now. I'm like, is that right? I don't know.
Yeah. So twice before that. Right, here's the thing. So twice before that, there's a black male and a black female survive the actual horror aspect and get killed at the end by something else.
What, like
So they still die in the movie.
What, like
So the famous one was, what was that again?
Night of the Living Dead.
I've forgotten. Yeah, so Night of the Living Dead, he gets shot.
Yeah.
And then I can't remember the female one. There's a female one as well, and something similar happens. It's like she gets run down by a car or something.
I mean, Deep Blue Sea was what, 2000 and... No, it was...
No, I thought it was the 90s. Because I feel like I was right when I started working at the video store after high school.
I'll have it.
I'm pretty sure it was at 90s.
We've reviewed it, so it'll be on the leaderboard somewhere. Yeah, it was 99. It was 99.
Oh, cool. Yeah, I was working at the video store.
I just can't quite wrap my brain around us getting to 1999 without letting a black character survive a horror film. Surely not. I just don't.
It's meant, like, obviously you probably have independent movies where it happened that nobody's ever bloody seen, but in a mainstream movie that was the first one.
Yeah, because there's like Ganja and Hess, but I mean these are like underground kind of movies. Ganja and Hess, which funnily enough, Dwayne Jones, who played Ben in Night of the Living Dead, he's in that film.
Yeah.
But that's a very underground black horror vampire film, and Marlene Jones, she survives, but
I think
kind of an artsy underground film.
Throw that out to the listeners.
That's not the one where she gets run down at the end, maybe, is it? Because that might be the one I'm thinking of. But no.
Oh no, she's still going at the end.
We maybe can
because there is one, I can't remember. I'm sure it's a truck that runs her over, if I remember rightly. I can't remember the movie.
There's nothing popping in my brain, so but like I say, maybe we can throw that out to the listeners. If they can think of anything that happened before Deep Blue Sea, because I'm not disagreeing with you, Nico, necessarily. I just feel like that's wrong.
I was the same, and I was trying, like, dude, I was the same. I was trying to find, and I'm like, oh, this, no, oh, this, no, oh, no. And it was like, everything that was either somebody survived, it was after that, or it was they died some other way.
Yeah.
That I was thinking,
I'm thinking is like, I think maybe it's true for like big mainstream films, but I think some underground films, because there was like, in the 70s, particularly, there was blaxploitation, but they also had blaxploitation / horror. And I can think of like there's the Blackula movies, like Scream, Blackula, Scream, like there's like a couple like, but I can get way deep in those like
I think the thing
shit
is,
almost nobody's seen.
I think as well, there's maybe movies that had come out at the time, like you say, were underground, weren't very well known, independents, not mainstream, who maybe have gotten that cult following years later and more down the line. So we maybe think of it as being a little more mainstream than it actually was, if that makes sense. So
that's the thing about it. The reason that I brought it up is that proves how much of a different time this was, because this was like 20 odd years before that.
Yeah.
So you can imagine what things were like, because it's even more woke nowadays than it was then.
Oh, yeah. Nico said the dreaded W word on the podcast. We've never had that. We've never had that before.
What?
We've just never said the word woke before. That usually pricks people's ears up.
Why? Well, it's a phrase that's used all the time now.
Because like
there's
I like words. I studied English, so it's like that word was taken from AAVE, which is African American Vernacular English. And then people started saying it, and then the right, which is the conservatives, took it over, and they're the only ones who use it in our country now.
Oh, is it?
It's become like from a cool thing to a ooh thing.
Yeah.
Anyway, I didn't know that.
Anywho's, we're definitely going a little off. So yeah,
flushing it out.
You know what? Like, let's.
There is one thing on the woke subject, right? I've got to get this off the chest.
Before you say anything, I'm not gonna lie to you, Nico. This is a sentence for the past 112 episodes that I've dreaded you saying is, on the woke subject, and I'm just like,
Oh
No,
no.
but
oh no,
there's
here we
one thing that
go.
I find really funny on it.
Oh.
There's one thing I find really, really funny about it, right? Everyone, like, I saw a thing the other day saying, "Oh, it's so good that they've made the X-Men woke," and it just made me laugh. Because if you've ever had anything that was woke before woke was a thing, it was the fucking X-Men. You know what I mean?
I think over here as well, like there's been huge backlash, right, over the new season of Doctor Who for being super woke. And Doctor Who's always been, especially since it
Yeah.
got modernized, has always been like a massive, left leaning LGBTQA plus like platform. It always has been, and I think even the older shows were always a bit like that as well. So for people to now
I
come
love
out,
Doctor Who.
oh yeah, and I think the new season started off great. I love it. So I think there's a lot of times people just look at something because it's been there for like a really long time, and Doctor Who's been around forever. And X-Men's been around forever, and as soon as like people are starting to put more a bit of focus on one of these issues, then the right just immediately goes, "Oh, you're ruining it. You're ruining it with your woke agenda, blah blah blah." And it's like, well, no, it's always been like that.
Barf.
It's like it's also always been like that.
So it's like Doctor Who can't be a woman, and Doctor Who has to be straight and has to be white. It's like, just because it's always been like that doesn't mean it should always be like that. Like, people don't like change, and it's like, oh, you're ruining it. It's like, no, maybe they're enhancing it, and you're just fucking stuck in your fucking ways. Like, I'm always open to change, and I think so. Change is a good thing for the most part.
It was also...
So here's the thing about the Doctor Who one, right? So they were saying they couldn't change it, and they couldn't do this, and they couldn't do that. In the old seasons, you had folk that were changing sex. You had all the stuff that was in, and this is before it got relaunched. So you had all that stuff that was happening back then. So it was always woke, and them going, "Oh, you can't have him being a black character that's like from Gallifrey and stuff like that." Well, you've had that before.
Yeah.
And then it was like, "Oh, you can't have a female one." Well, you've had that before too. And this is stuff that happened well before any of the stuff that was the new ones.
Yeah.
So I find it absolutely hysterical that they try and bring this shit into it. They try and argue the point that's nothing to do with it.
But I think it's partly the social climate. There's a lot of resistance to change, especially from conservatives. They don't want change, and they're like, well, we put up with your fucking changes since the 60s. We don't want any more change. We want to go back. It's like, oh no.
I think the thing for me is as well, though, it's the selective memory of the whole thing. Like, I've not fully caught up with the new season of Doctor Who, so I have maybe missed a bit. But I think there was a bit of an outcry because there was a same-sex kiss on one of the episodes, and people were being like,
"Oh, it was the last, not Saturday Just Past, but the one before."
Yeah, and it was just like, "Oh, this is like, how could they do this? How could they do this?" In the very first season of the relaunch of Doctor Who, Christopher Eccleston and John Barrowman share a kiss on like episode 4. This literally has happened before. It's the selective criticism of it as well that really...
Selective outrage.
You had two women kissing an episode way back in God.
Yeah, but that's two women, and men like that, so that's acceptable.
That's fetishized.
Yeah.
No, but I just mean it was one of the first ones to do that.
Yeah.
Like it.
Oh, thank God, Nico's gone. Nico has left us. It's his episodely mishap with his internet means he's gone. There he is. He's back.
I'm here.
You went for a second, Nico. We lost you for
a
second. Anyways, I feel
as I was saying on that was that just like a fish point. It was one of the first. It doesn't matter if it was two females or two men. It was one of the first ones to have same sex do it. Whether it was guys like that or not, it still got heaps of shit for it back then.
Yeah. Listen, we have definitely gone way off course.
Yeah, I don't even know what we're on anymore.
We're now talking.
So
Sharks versus zombie. We got onto this by the whole sort of misogynistic and anti-animal treatment that has been seen from the movies in the past, and that's eventually led us to woke culture, apparently. So
right,
we'll drag.
Fulci is not for the faint-hearted or the conservative people. at all.
So we'll drag this back to the movie Zombie. Now, Cardi, you said at the beginning of the episode, obviously we were talking about how, this movie is known as a few different names. You can call it Zombie, it's Zombie 2, it's Zombie Flesh Eaters. You said you had like a little bit of info about, George Romero and his links to that. And do you want to go into that?
Sure. Yeah. When anybody who knows me knows I love Romero and almost all of his movies. I did famously kind of put down The Crazies, but it's deserved. It's not a great movie. The remake is way better. But Dawn of the Dead from excuse me, my voice is going out. Hold on. It's morning for me. But one of my favorite movies is Dawn of the Dead. It came out in America and the same year I was born. I claim that, but it technically was 1978. Dawn, I just said Dawn. Night of the Living Dead came out in 1968. So this was like a 10 years later thing. Romero couldn't get Dawn of the Dead made. But he goes to Italy to his friend Dario Argento. And Argento, ever since his first movie, it was huge. And he was like, I'll help you get your movie made. So it was, give me 1 second.
You're fine. You're fine.
Yeah, my voice hasn't woken up yet. All right. So Argento helps get Dawn of the Dead made. And so I have every cut of Dawn of the Dead, including the Argento cut, which much of the gore is cut out of that. But it was released first in 1978 in Italy, and it was called Zombie, Zombi. And obviously Dawn of the Dead was a huge hit. And when it came to America, it was, Dawn of the Dead. But it was still known around the world, and particularly in Italy, where it was first released as Zombie. So, Lucio Fulci, around the same time, has a zombie film that's returning to voodoo. So it has nothing to do with Dawn of the Dead or Zombie. But his film is named Zombie, Zombie. But his distributors, as they were putting his voodoo, this particular film out, they wanted to cash in on the huge runaway success of Dawn of the Dead. So they named it Zombie 2, Zombi 2. So people were they wanted to ride the coattails of them. Like I said, Fulci didn't have anything to do with this, but they were like, hey, we can get the American audience, or we can get, this everywhere around the world where this movie was a huge hit to watch this if they think it's related to Dawn of the Dead or Zombie, Zombi. So I knew it as Zombie 2 for the first time that I watched it, and I mistakenly, as a child, thought it had something to do with Dawn of the Dead. So I saw this movie completely by accident as a kid. But yeah, mostly in America, it's known as Zombie, but in other places, it's also known as Zombie Flesh Eaters. I don't know the story behind that part, but the tie to Romero is the Zombie 2. And yeah, I like to use that name just because I like to keep the Romero thing there. Like they were writing his coattails, and he got the movie made because of Argento, who was friends with Fulci. So it's a neat little Venn diagram.
No,
because that's why I was confused when we were trying to find it. When we were talking about we were doing this, I'm like, where the fuck is this movie? Because I never knew it was called this. And then I think it was it you that asked Ian about, is this the one with the shark?
Yeah.
Was it you?
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this the one with the shark? And then yeah, as soon as I knew what it was, that because as I said, I just watched it as a kid, and it was a VHS with just written on the side of it, and yeah, just one of the old, and it was a very grainy one as well. And yeah, I loved it when I was a kid.
I think when you think about it though, like this movie, it actually has like a lot going for it. It has those ties to Romero, like you were talking about, but it also has the sort of infamy of being one of the video nasties as well, which will just have made like I think way back, Nico, when we were doing, I think it was at Censor we were covering. And we kind of took a bit.
When I was going about the Mary Whitehouse thing.
Yeah, and we took a bit of a deep dive into sort of video nasties back when we did that. That feels like quite a while ago, and obviously Zombie was part of that, and that obviously gained it, a level of sort of infamy, if you will, and then it becomes this sort of thing that people just want to go see because they're not being allowed to go and see. So that like it, because if you it's that old adage, isn't it? If you tell someone to not push the big red button, the first thing they want to do is to go and push the big red button. So, um, yeah, like I just think I think this movie should have been more successful than it ultimately was. I still don't think this movie really gets the recognition it deserves. Listen, I'm not saying this is like
I get it.
don't
Oh,
carry on.
sorry. I was just gonna throw in for a second. I think that it is now getting really, I mean, Fright Rags early on, Fright Rags, one of their first shirts, which was featured in a movie called This Is the End,
Yeah,
in the last 10 years or so. The Zombie versus Shark
yeah,
shirt. That was one of their first shirts on Fright Rags. And they're the biggest horror retailer, as like apparel ever. Um, I think now, I mean, because when you mention Fulci to anybody, they're like zombie or zombie who or whatever they call it. Usually here in America, it's zombie. Um, and so they know that one, but then you start going, well, what did you think of City of the Living Dead? And they're like, what? Uh, they don't know that movie, but everybody kind of knows Zombie. I mean, if you know anything, like even people who are a bit more casual or don't watch foreign horror, they know this movie, or they know of the movie, or they've seen at least the Zombie versus Shark stuff. So I
Yeah.
do think it's Fulci's biggest success, which isn't saying much, but it is. And so now people at least know this movie. So I will say that, yeah, I think it got its recognition in recent years, but
yeah.
See,
not all.
I like the whole bringing back the zombie thing. That's one of the things I love, like bringing back the voodoo part of it. Because, well, Ian, you know my thoughts on voodoo, child play, fucking crock of shit.
Uh-huh.
Uh,
Yeah.
you, so yeah, you know my thoughts on voodoo. I like the fact that they were bringing that back, and it's always one of those things that a certain generation will always fucking it triggers them straight away because you thought was a bigger thing than what it was. So I like that part of it. And I loved that part when I was a kid. And I think the only reason that this is getting the recognition it's getting now is genuinely because of the shark and zombie scene. Not a lot of people have actually watched the movie, they've just watched the scene.
And they're also familiar with, if I think there's two famous things. There's Zombie versus Shark, and then there's our eye trauma, which Fulci is known for
Yeah,
gouging out eyes or
Yeah.
popping eyeballs a lot. He's kind of the eye trauma specialist, but we have this great splinter in the eyeball scene, shot beautifully.
yeah.
And people know that. Like that's the shirt that I'm wearing, is the famous eyeball
Ian, you
gouging
love
scene
that,
with the
don't you?
splinter.
Yeah,
So people
that's how
know
this
that as
happened.
well.
Listen, it's an absolute it's
Sorry for bringing up. I couldn't resist that.
I
it's
was like, am I supposed to laugh? I don't know.
listen, it's a great scene, and we'll move on to it as well because the effects, and you've already mentioned it, Candy. The effects in this movie are really fucking great for again, given the sort of budgetary constraints that they had. And we've talked about this before as well. Like when you'll find that when a movie is made for like no fucking money. They have to be creative. They have to come up with creative ways to make things look good. They have to just sort of come up with ways to make, you know, bits of equipment and how to do their effects. It's like and it really starts to show off the sort of creative minds of the people who are actually working on the film. And this is why I'll always like we're as everyone knows, we're always like practical over CGI. And
Yeah,
it's not just because we think it looks better because it will stand the test of time for longer. It's also because you gain a bigger appreciation for the people who are actually working on the film as well, because it genuinely feels like that they've just put more into it. And that's not to take
yeah,
And you can
away.
get more creative with it. Like with that's how Tom Savini,
Yeah.
my favorite, got to be so big. Was because, one with practical effects, they look better, they age better, but also they're cheaper to make.
Yeah.
And you have room for creativity. Whereas with CGI, I mean, yes, technically you can create creatures that aren't real and blah blah blah, but I think you lose some of the process where you're like, hey, it might look cooler if I add some of this kind of this to this, like and with budgetary constraints, like yeah, it's easier to do cooler shit. And with Fulci is known just for effects, even if they're not the best ones. They're like everybody's like, oh, I can't wait till this scene happens, and oh, this is fucking gross. And yeah, our famous eye trauma scenes. This is the best eye trauma scene in a Fulci movie, and that is a huge sentence that means a lot
Yeah.
because he's known for this.
I think
Yeah.
as
I
well.
think the only thing in any of his movies that comes close is the knife through the fucking head that comes out of the mouth at the beginning of House by the Cemetery.
Yeah.
So
I think, listen, this is not to take away from, CGI artists and computer people who do that, because you
not
have
at
to be
all.
incredibly talented to do that as well. I couldn't fucking do
Yes.
it, so this is not to take away from the people who do that. However, you're right. It feels like you just lose a bit of soul, don't you, if when you choose to do CGI over practical. A bit of the heart of it is gone, and it just doesn't. And listen, if for nothing else, fine well that in 5 to 10 years' time, it's gonna date your movie pretty fucking bad.
And the thing, I feel sorry for CGI artists because they're always working to the highest spec of what they can do.
Mm-hmm.
They're always working to the highest possible one. But because technology progresses so fast, that's
Yeah.
what dates it.
Yeah,
Because
it's not
as
the
soon
one.
as it comes out,
Yeah,
2-3 years, it's fucking. If they had that technology, it would look exact same.
And
But
I think
then,
that there's a time and a place for it where it's best to go with CGI, like Lord of the Rings or those kind of movies where we're creating creatures that are just almost impossible to do
yeah,
practically. But in horror movies, it's not always necessary. And I like that we're kind of having a renaissance thanks to Terrifier series. See, I get to do it this time. He and I did it. But thanks to Terrifier, we're having a return to practical, low budget shit. I'm living for it.
listen,
jeez.
I thought I'd do it this
when I
time.
was making that point, I was like, oh, I can talk about Terrifier here. There's a good chance to talk about
The
Terrifier.
worst thing was I was about to bring it up. That's fucking even
Oh my
scarier.
god.
So yeah, as you said, yeah.
We need
So
to have a counter for how many
I know how much time.
how many days since we've mentioned Terrifier.
The thing is, right? The point of bringing up Terrifier is today's standard is the Terrifier ones for your practical effects.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
You're always gonna say that ones, and I'm not being a dick. They're the best nowadays because of what's come before it.
100%.
They've learned from what everybody's done. They've done, and they take it to the next level. I love that. I've always said that about the movie. This movie has brilliant practical effects. It's absolutely superb practical effects. But the thing that lets it down in this movie is the plot part, which is
Well,
part
if
of
you're
why you're
watching
watching it
Fulci
as
for the
well.
plot, you don't watch Fulci for the plot. I tell everybody that, and I'm a huge Fulci fan. This movie, I don't even think is his best movie, but I do absolutely fucking love it. And I'm a person who loves plot. Like I said, I love a slow burn. I like intelligent movies, but I like some gory, stupid shit too. And this
Oh yeah, sick.
fits the bill. And it's not as stupid as it looks. It's fun, but Fulci, like I think a lot of his, because he spoke no English, like none. And we have several people, we have 4 different languages being spoken. When Italian horror is filmed, everybody speaks their own language. So we've got Tisa Farrow and Amy Colell, they're speaking English. You've got Olga Carlotta, like she's speaking Greek, I believe. And then you've got a lot of Italian spoken. And so Fulci, he couldn't even direct them. I mean, they had to learn from these scripts, and the scripts were terrible because once they lost a lot in translation into these different languages. So, and the plots are thin anyway. I mean, they were getting these cranked out, but there's a lot that saves this movie. Like it's not for, yeah, no plot. The plot doesn't matter. Who fucking cares? We've got great scenes. We've got cool effects. We've got a great score by Fabio Frizzi. Like he did a lot of the Fulci scores, and I think that they're amazing. But yeah, don't watch for the plot because you're gonna break your brain. Like there's none. There's
just
not really.
I'm trying to go with when I was a kid, and the things that I remember as a kid that I loved about this was the soundtracks, the boobs,
Yes.
and the special effects, and that was the 3 things I
That's
loved
what it
when I
has
was a
going
kid.
for it, and it's great.
And then I watched it as an adult, and I'm like, that's genuinely all it did have going for it. So
Exactly, but that's okay. That's okay.
Just on you obviously just brought up the score there as well. I really love the score to this movie. There's something quite bleak about it at times. When it's ominous and bleak and just almost
It
hopeless.
was like a
it makes you
funereal
feel
march
slightly.
at many points, very procession. You've got a lot of percussion to it to lay into that sort of voodoo vibe.
Yeah, but
It makes you feel slightly depressed.
Yeah,
And I think-
100%.
And I think it's meant to do that.
Yes.
The way that they do it gets you to that point where it feels like you've got no hope which is really, really good because there's fuck all plot to make you feel that way. It's the music and it's the
But
tension and it's
but
everything else that's doing that to you. You know what I
isn't
mean?
And there really is no hope in the movie, honestly.
that's the thing, isn't that like that? We'll obviously sit here and continue to say, there's no plot, the script's fucking terrible, blah blah blah. They spoke many other languages, which made for a really interesting dub. By the way, if you're like really paying
Yeah, I
attention,
love
Yeah,
the
the
dubs
dub,
on YouTube
yeah.
films. They are fucking phenomenal. They're
What
so
the
great.
fuck, man?
But it does still, like, if people are sitting there being like, well, they're not that good because the plot's really shit. But it does speak to the testament again of the abilities of the people creating this film, that they are able to convey those feelings and emotions through score, through effects, through everything else that is happening, in spite of having
Yeah.
a poor script. And they were able to throw a zombie versus shark scene in there as well for good fucking measure. So, like, what more can you fucking ask for it in the end, I guess.
Yeah.
One of the other things, like, I really like, and this is probably like my last sort of big point. There's always been, like, obviously maybe slightly less so with like modern zombie movies. When zombies got kind of modified by like the remake of Dawn of the Dead, and zombies started becoming fast and powerful, and all these sorts of things, and 28 Days Later and all of them.
Yeah.
Zombies had always been seen as these sort of like slow, lumbering, not particularly dangerous enemy or protagonist, unless they're obviously in like large,
But
constant, yeah.
Yeah. But
unless they're in large hordes.
here's the
But
thing.
there's something, sorry, there's something about this movie.
Sorry.
The zombie, they feel, and I think it's the scene where the zombie's trying to get in the door. It's just before the eye gouging scene. And you see his hand just sort of creep round the side of the door. There's something about it that it makes the zombies in this film feel powerful, like feel like they really they really can do damage one-on-one. And I think I quite like
Yeah.
that as well.
But there's a reason that before all the fast zombies came out, everyone, when you were a kid, if you were speaking about horror, the first thing you would be is like, oh, so what thing would you think you'd survive? And there's not one fucking cunt there that wouldn't say
Zombies.
zombie. You know what I mean? Straight away, because instantly you're like, well, I can get away with that just by putting a bit of pace in. You know what I mean? I can, if it fights me, as long as it doesn't grab me, it's fucked.
Yeah.
If it does grab me, cut its hand off, you're fine.
It's like the whole.
When I was
You
a
know what I
kid,
mean?
we played a game that was like, and it was specific because I pal around with guys as far as like horror. I didn't have any outside of my mom, any female horror buddies for a very long time, unfortunately. But it would be like, okay, zombie apocalypse is happening. What are you gonna do? How are you gonna survive? And so it was kind of like a little mental game we would play, and it would be fun. I'd be like, well, I'm gonna take food up into the attic, and I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna escape to this place, and that was kind of a fun little game that we played. I was kids, so
It's like when
The easy way, see what old zombies. The reason we played it as well, and see what old zombies. I always say the same thing. You'd go the Highlander route. So in Scotland, Highlanders used to have a settlement at the top of a hill, wide open space. You can see for fucking miles. And that's where they would take their sheep and everything guard at the top of the hills. That's why you see on some of the hills when you're up walking in Scotland, all the way around the hill, like a wee stone wall built around it. If you did that against zombies, you're fucking sorted. Because you can see for miles. As soon as they're coming at you, you just go, hi zombie, come on, come closer, come closer. Oh, that way's free, see you later. And just actually you're gone, It's they'd be knackered by the time they get up the hill because they're slow as fuck anyway. And you've got all the pace, good dude.
Oh dear. Anyways, it's kind of also like, when people are like, oh, what modern sort of villain would you be able to survive fight against? Everyone always says Chucky because, just fucking kick him across the room
Yeah.
or something, it's just a fucking doll.
Chucky.
I'd say Freddy. I could survive Freddy because
No.
I would. I have a sleep disorder, so I barely sleep. Oh, and when I do sleep, I can lucid dream because I have like the weirdest sleep disorders. I've been being studied by sleep doctors since I was a kid. They don't even fucking know what my problem is. So I feel like I'm a real dream warrior. I got this.
See, you'd be fucked because of one reason only. Freddy would use your weakness against you. Do you know what that is?
What?
Your family. He would go for them, and you'd go in to protect them, and that's where you'd be fucked.
I'd fuck Freddy up. I don't really. I mean, I love Freddy, but I'd fuck him up. I am not concerned. I got this.
Nico, who are you surviving then?
I'm a Freddy fan, and even
I've
I'm
been
not
training
taking
for this
Freddy
my
off.
whole life since 1984.
Who you surviving, Nico?
What, out of modern ones or back in the day?
Either.
Modern. your best buddy in horror, I'd survive Michael easy.
Modern, I'd say Ghostface, because it's always somebody different and they always have stupid, convoluted reasons. And I'm real weird about who I hang out with. So I think I'd be
Yeah,
fine.
but it would probably be you would be the killer. That's why.
Yeah, don't fuck with me.
You'd be standing there. God, they'd be standing next to you. Next thing you know, you'd have a knife through your throat. You'd be like, "Fuck me! I didn't care it was you."
Biggest plot twist in the
I would make a
world.
weird villain. I would make a really weird villain. I think that's a whole different topic.
See, I could never be Ghostface because everyone would suspect me anyway. They'd be like, "It's him." Fucking
Nobody would suspect me at all. They really wouldn't.
I feel like people might suspect me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you're kind of sus.
I'm a little
No, I'm
sus, you know, I'm a little sus. Anyways, I'll leave the floor open for you guys for any final points before we move on.
Oh no, who would you survive, Ian? We've said ours.
Yeah,
oh,
yeah.
I would also survive Ghostface because it's just a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
Michael, Freddy, Jason, they're all
There's-
supernatural, and like I'll survive
There-
Ghostface. That's fine.
There's more chance of like a normal person getting you though because you wouldn't suspect them.
Well, yeah, because supernatural
I
people.
suspect everybody
you know,
all the time. Too
you
much
know-
Scooby Doo or something.
You know why it's more likely that a normal person will get you? Because supernatural people aren't real, Nico.
For fuck's sake. We're
Depends on your
acting
belief
like-
system.
what are you like?
Right, anyways, open floor, guys. Any other points about Zombie?
Okay.
I loved it before, I just like it now.
Yeah. Well, hey, I think that's acceptable. And see, a lot of people get surprised by my love for Fulci. And I think I just have this very strong feeling this isn't going to be the only Fulci film we ever talk about.
There's
we
more?
have several. Oh, there's so much more. And there's more. I think this is not even his best film. Even though it's his most well known, it's not his best film, but it is so fun. It's I don't know. I love this kind of movie. But yeah, it surprises people because they go from the very seriousness and gravity of a Romero film to this, which isn't deep and which isn't, anything. He's doing the voodoo thing, but not great because we don't really talk about it too much. You really don't have to think a whole lot. I mean, these scripts that he had were kind of cranked out really quick, like I said, and then they're translated into so many languages. And then, Ian mentioned the dubs. I love the dubs in Italian horror and particularly Fulci films. How they do it is like, if it's particularly they were trying to get the American market because, horror movies are huge, like part of culture here, always have been. And so definitely one of the American market. So when they do these dubs, like if you spoke English, you got to dub yourself. But everyone else is dubbed by a very small pool. I talked about this with Tenebrae, of Italian voice actors. And so there's maybe like 10 people like for every fucking movie. So in Fulci movies, you'll notice a lot of people have the same speaking voice that are dubbed into English. And it's like, oh, because there's only so many people that do this. There's like a very small pool, and they would do every fucking like American dub for it or English dub.
Yeah.
So I enjoy the dubbing, especially we have the cameo of Fulci as the newspaper guy, the chief at the newspaper place. And you can see this man is the worst dubbing is on Fulci himself, spoke no English. And so when we get that final shot, which I do love, even though it's kind of a little bit silly with the zombies going across the bridge in New York, he couldn't even direct them in it because he spoke no English on how to like move. He would just kind of do the few words he knew and like show them. And I would love to see like what a video that looked like. That would have had to have been hilarious. Like he's like acting like a zombie, so like I don't speak English, so but it's a cool shot at the end, but you can see the traffic going by.
I was just going to say that.
They didn't have a permit. And what Italian horror did particularly, and like I said, this is and in the Gates of Hell trilogy particularly, they're all set in America, but only a few establishing shots would be shot in America to make it like look like, oh, because like we have that scene at the beginning that's kind of cool with the boat coming into the harbor. They're clearly in New York. They shoot those all in one day. and then they go back to Italy and shoot the rest.
Uh,
It's kind of fun.
Yeah, because
I do like the background.
there's quite a lot of shooting locations on this as well, from Italy to Mexico to the Dominican Republic to New York. So
Right.
like they were all over the place, filming this.
So
as
that's
well.
a lot of budget for him because normally, like when you do like House by the Cemetery, couple shots in New England and America, the rest in Italy.
Nico, anything else from you then?
No, just still this day, still think Crockett tits, great special effects.
Keep it simple.
You are a simple man.
Like her nipples could cut glass when she's underwater.
You
That's
ever
all I'm
notice,
saying.
like, and we also see Olga Carlotta's like nipples. Like everybody in there always has nipples at high beams. I'm like, how is that possible? I'm a woman, and that's just not possible. That's like constantly having a boner. Like you can't always have a boner. How does everybody sit there
Did they
like
not
take
used to
ice
do an
cubes
ice
and like
trick?
perk
Aye,
those
that's
nipples
what I was
up
just gonna
every
say,
time?
Yeah.
Was it
Like,
not the
well,
ice
we can't
trick?
show a tit without a an erect nipple. I'm like,
Yeah,
okay.
no, you got to at least tweak him a little bit. You know what I mean?
I feel like that's very male gazy. Like it's just not possible.
Yeah.
It's just not.
You never
Saying
know.
that, when she's under the water, you can understand why they're fully erect.
Oh, yeah.
She's got to be
it's
fucking cold down there. She has
yeah.
nothing on, and it's cold down there anyway. She has no wetsuit. She didn't even have any. Like the most thing that she covered was her head.
Saying
Bless
that's
her.
where you lose most body heat.
That's well.
Yeah.
Has that not been like revealed to be a bit of a myth?
Yeah,
Yeah,
that because it's supposed to be the head and the feet,
Yeah.
but it's not really. I mean, it's kind of debunked, but well,
Is it
they
not
can
to do
work
with
in
the
the system.
circulation of the body? Because
Uh,
when your extremities go down, the two things that it keeps up is basically your central tract and your head. So you lose your fingers and toes, but it's
You know, you put in a lot more thought into this than I
I know.
did.
I was
mean,
just.
I just really put. I was like, well, she put a bathing cap on, so her perm is okay. But like, I was focused on like that heavy equipment is just yanking her right in a place where you shouldn't be yanked.
She maybe likes that. She maybe was like,
It seems like it'd be a little rough.
Yeah.
I mean, you want to go a little gentle first and then move up to the rough. It's just straight in there to the rough. No.
there was a strip club in Aberdeen called Fantasy Bar. There was a guy that used to pay to get his nuts stomped on with a stiletto heel.
I know.
I believe that.
People like kinks for different things.
I used to work in a strip bar, and I was a man who he paid for two things. He paid to get kicked in the face, and he paid for one of the strippers to eat a bag of crisps and spit them back into his mouth.
Like a baby bird?
Like a baby bird.
Oh my God. I thought I'd heard it all.
Right,
Got
on that
kicked in the
note,
face.
who
kicked him in the face, Ian?
I'm not
After this, tell me who kicked him in the face.
Afterwards, I'll tell you who kicked him in the face if you tell me those other two names.
No.
Oh, you go. Fuck you then. Right. Right. Next, moving on. Before I get like too distracted and off track, we're gonna go on to our next segment, and we're gonna talk about some trivia. I'm not red, Nico. You're red.
Yeah, just a little.
As always, we'll start off with the finances of the movie. According to IMDb, and working it out for not inflation, for what's the word, exchange rates, because it was given to us in Italian lira, which doesn't exist anymore. This movie,
no, it does not.
approximately had a budget of about $250,000. Grossed worldwide, approximately about $1.9 million. So, like, it made some money. Fulci movies are never, like you say, probably his biggest success, but, they're never been, success is probably a relative term, I would say.
When you compare him to Argento, absolutely not.
Yeah. I've not got a huge amount of trivia here. We've obviously talked quite in depth about a few various bits and pieces of trivia as well. So if either of you guys have anything as well, feel free to jump in. We've kind of talked about this one. There was no CGI at the time. Production didn't have a budget for fancy animatronics, so they used a real shark for the zombie versus shark fight scene. The shark's trainer fed the shark the night before, as well as doping him up with sedatives. We've already talked about that. As shown in trailers before the film was released, airline-style barf bags were handed out into theatres for moviegoers due to the unusually high amount of violence and gore for a horror film of that time. And that's something that's made a comeback as well in modern times. Again, this is my turn to reference
the
it. With Terrifier 2 as well. Yeah, so like, they did it in the cinemas as well. So, that's definitely something that's made a bit of a comeback.
And unfortunately, you can't see it behind me because I have to like move this, but like behind me, I have this huge sticker that is actually the barf bag from Zombie.
Oh,
It's pretty
nice.
cool.
Yeah, that's
But
pretty cool.
yeah.
The newspaper office scene was filmed in a busy office building, and at one point, the cast and crew inadvertently interrupted a meeting being held by Rupert Murdoch, who kicked them out of the building.
I got kicked out by Rupert Murdoch, like this huge conglomerate guy in that. Yeah.
Whilst you're filming Zombie. So yeah, like I say, I only pulled up a few bits of trivia because I thought we would go through quite a bit of it, which we did. But if either of you guys have anything else that you want to bring up, then now is the time to do so.
I've only got one, but
Oh, Nico, you have
and
something.
it's yeah.
Are you
So
feeling okay?
do you remember the Faces of Death videos and stuff like that?
Oh
There was
God, yeah.
there was a whole heap of them that came out, and there was like awful ones.
They're
There was
terrible.
there was one, I can't remember the name of it, but the opening scene was the shark in the water with a zombie, but it was like cut so it looked like it was a person, not a zombie, and you could still blatantly tell because it's that bit where the arm gets bitten off.
Mm-hmm.
You could tell what it was from, and I used to always find it funny because it was literally just heaps of horror films. They'd taken it out of them and just made it into one conglomerate like video, pretend it was a video nasty.
Yeah.
And I always made me laugh that this was the one that they used first, was the shark.
Well, why not? Why not? It doesn't get much.
I was gonna say, Olga Carlatos, like when she's famous of the eye trauma. When she saw the film, she actually ran out of the room crying. Not so much like just the eye trauma, but like when our group of idiots like get there, our main four, including nude scuba diver chick, when they all get there and there's the zombies in there and they just stand there watching them. I don't know why. Idiots. I think everybody in Fulci's like world is completely doped up on sedatives. Like they have no reaction time. But they walk in and she's being eaten, and it's pretty gory. It's a pretty great scene. It looks good to this
Yeah.
day. She saw that and freaked the fuck out. So pretty cool. So that's what I have.
Awesome. Well, thank you very much for your guys' contributions there. And with that being said, we'll move on again, and we're going to go into our final segment, which is the ratings and the reviews. And as always, we'll start off with the critic scores. IMDb scored this movie a 6.8 out of 10. Metacritic have this at a 5.4.
Oh.
So let's do the Rotten Tomatoes critics and see what you guys think they scored the film. Candy, this is your pick, so we'll let you go first. What do you think the critics scored the film?
I don't know if I'm being hopeful here, but like I'm gonna say 65.
You're going with 65%. Okay, Nico?
It's 70s horror and it's Italian. Critics would have fucking hated this.
I said I was being hopeful.
So I'm trying to work it out because it's always between like the 20s and the 50s. It's never, occasionally below the 20s. So I'm gonna go 40. What? 40 what? 43. 44.
You're going to decide on one, yeah? 44.
I was letting the cat pick. She picked 44.
Okay. Nico definitely takes this one.
I knew I was being hopeful.
The Rotten Tomatoes critics have this at 41%.
Shira, you were off by
So
3.
you were pretty close there, but yeah, 41%. Nico, you go first for the second one then. What do you think the Rotten Tomatoes audience scored this?
I'll go 69 just because.
Just go for the standard comedy 69.
Just because the only thing it's really got going for it is the tits and everything. So yeah, like
okay. That's worth something.
It's worth something, yeah. Candy, what are you thinking?
I'm gonna guess like not too much higher, maybe 73.
73. Your guess is not far away. However, Nico is spot on with this one because it scored 69%.
Dude! Nice.
I literally was sitting here going, I was sitting here going, I'll work out what, fuck it, I don't care, right?
When I was doing the notes, when I was pulling all my notes together for this film, I was like, there's a strong possibility that Nico was going to pick 69 for this just because we're going to have to talk about the tits.
Yeah.
Oh dear.
You should have let her go first just in case she got it.
I know, but I always let the first person who chooses the movie get to do the first bit, so... Oh well, never mind. So well done, Nico. You took them both this week.
Sorry, Candy, but I blame Ian.
Okay, thanks. As always,
Spot on, though.
Spot on, well done. As always, we throw it out to our listeners and followers across our social media platforms, asking for your guys' opinions. Candy, I know you've done this as well, so if you have any at the end of this, feel free to jump in with them too. We've got a few just to read out. Friends, Movies for Days podcast says, lots of fun, filled with jaw-dropping memorable moments. If you want a what the fuck Italian zombie film that doesn't skimp on the 3 Bs, this is certainly one of them. 7 out of 10. Our good friend...
And I commented on Newman's post. I said, I love the 3 Bs, which would be blood, breasts, and beasts from Joe Bob. So.
Our good friend Ren, of course, had a few words to say about this one. This official, unofficial, but in no way an actual sequel to Dawn is a classic example of the execution being way better than the script that Italian horror is known for. It's a fun zombie flick with some sensational gore and an incredible score, but lacks the social commentary punch that are the foundation of Romero's films. 6.5 out of 10 there from Ren. G Podmonster gives it 8 out of 10, says true classic. Creatures and Creeps says they'd rate it a 10. I mean, how often do you find zombies fighting sharks? So, I mean, you can't really argue with that. And then the last one I've got from Crow Studios says, if there were more zombies punching sharks, it would be a 10. Everything from the music to the dreamlike visuals is just the epitome of 70s horror. So thank you very much to everyone there who has sent us messages. I don't know if you have any that you'd like to share with us, Candy.
Yes, mine are from Instagram, and they're just kind of the numbers because people tend to respond to my stories more than my posts on stuff like this. So I've got 3. I have from at Ghost of Dying Light. This is on Instagram again. 10 out of 10. Fulci being Fulci. At Ordinary Things Band, they gave it an 8. And at Sleaze Boy, they gave it a 10.
Ooh.
So I think, people are kind of used to the stuff that I would post about, and they're kind of like, oh, zombie. Yeah, I fucking love that shit. So.
Well, that's definitely some good scores in there. And I think, our listeners are always generally a little bit more... I think generous when it comes to these things, and we're posting them on social medias. They're usually a little bit more generous about things than we tend to be, or the critics tend to be. And so I think, I'm still with that a little bit maybe surprised that was quite as high as it was. I was generally expecting scores for this to maybe be a little bit lower, not because I think it deserves it, just because of how the movie had been perceived and things like that. So I think that's it.
I have a theory on it that I'll bring up when I do my review.
Okay. So yeah, that's definitely sort of like a slightly pleasant surprise for me. And given all of our scores. And not all of our scores, so all of our listener scores there. Thank you very much to everyone who has sent those in, and anyone who has given to Candy or myself. Thank you very, very, very much. The listeners give this movie on average an 8.9 out of 10. So that's a really, really, really great score. And so that just leaves
it's really good.
That just leaves us to go. And Candy, since this is your movie, I'll let you go last. And I think that's probably just fair for us to do from now on, so I'm not always going last.
Yeah, probably.
I went first last week, though, so Nico, you can go first this week. What are you scoring Zombie on a scale of 0 to 10?
So for all the good points that I've said, I'll give it a 7.5.
Okay.
Higher than I thought you would give it.
And why are you giving it a 7.5?
Well, it's got a great score. It's when I was a kid, I did used to love this. I'm not gonna lie. I see before rewatching it, I'd have probably been up there with a 9-10. But since I rewatched it, and I'm like, lacks the plot. That's the only thing it really took away from it. It's not aged the best, but it's still not aged as much as you think it would be. You'd think this was like mid-80s, so it's not that bad. But yeah, it's just 7.5 for me.
Listen, I think there's a lot to be said for something that you haven't seen since you were young as well, because you're always, especially if you liked it when you were young, you're always going to build it up in your head as being probably
I
better.
loved this.
That's what I'm saying, though. Like, if you love it when you were young, you're going to always, like, build it up in your head to be better than it was, so that when you do eventually revisit it, you're probably always going to have that little bit of disappointment in there, aren't you?
I call it the Monster Squad phenomena, because everybody, particularly my age, was like, "Oh, I love the Monster Squad." I'm like, "Have you watched it recently?" Because I showed it to my kids when they were little, and they were like, "This sucks." I'm like, "Oh my god, it does suck."
Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I fucking love Monster Squad when I was younger, and I'm like, holy fuck.
It's
We're gonna have to review that.
We're gonna have to review that. Oh god, you're gonna make me watch it again? No. All right.
I feel like every week is just Nico
make you watch more Fulci.
Yeah, that's fine. We're sorted. I'll go next then, I guess. Listen, lots of great points about this movie. Great score, great special effects. Absolutely, it's such a fun sort of ride as just a sort of switch your head off horror movie. Is this my favorite movie of all time? No, probably doesn't even come close to being in that sort of top reaches for me. But you know what? It's a fun ride, and it's one that, like, if I was to scroll past it and I was just looking for a movie to be like, let's just throw it on. It does what it does well, really well, and it does what it does badly, really kind of badly. So, it's kind of somewhere in the middle for me. I'm gonna give this a 6.5 out of 10. It's definitely still like
that's lower, but I thought you were gonna score it
lower.
Yeah, I thought you were gonna I thought you both were gonna go lower than you did. So
I thought you were gonna be about a 7.
7? You thought I was going to give it a 7? Well, I mean, I'm pretty much there. It's a 6.5. It's not like I'm fucking a million miles away, is it? And like...
True, but I thought you'd be close.
Nico, I've always been a harsher scorer than you anyway.
Yeah, you are historically a harsh scorer.
And you know what?
I'm historically a generous scorer, unless I absolutely hate the fucking movie.
Worst part is, I think I've been like softening around the edges lately as well. I think I've been a lot more generous lately. So maybe it's a little bit of, I need to get myself back into my miserly ways. Anyways.
Oh no, maybe that's what I bring to the show, is I soften everybody up on scores.
Anyways, Candy, that just
apart from yourself.
That just leaves you.
Unless it pisses me off.
What are you scoring Zombie?
Just to point out really quickly how I rate things, I don't rate them. I kind of rate them separately from other movies. Like, it's not as good as this zombie movie or whatever. I don't rate like that. I rate like based on this film alone. Like, it's the only movie in the world, and I'm gonna pick it apart. But I think Zombie, just from the overreaching cultural effects and considering it's just a legendary film, I give it a 9 out of 10. I know that seems very generous, but I feel generous towards this movie. The fact that it has survived, the fact that it is such legend, the fact that it is just this big cult thing. This was, like I said, the most successful film. The most people know Fulci by this film, and the eye gouging in this is probably his best eye gouging. I am a fan of eye gouging in movies. Like, I go for the gross out. I love gore. I think it's funny. So this movie makes me fucking laugh my ass off. So it's a joy to me. Like, it brings a lot of joy to my life. So obviously not worth a 10, but it gets a 9 for a lot of other things. If you just unplug your brain and don't try to think too hard about it, it's really fun. It clips along quickly. You can just order a pizza and fucking watch this movie, laugh your ass off, and enjoy the visuals. It's really, really cool for that. So a lot of my score is for, let's throw the fucking threadbare plot out and any logic and just ride this thing. And it's a fun ride. So but yeah, it is not Fulci's best film to me, but it is a very fun movie, and I feel good. It's a feel good, like, junk food watch for me. If I'm having a bad day, I'm gonna throw on fucking Zombies. So it's up there for me. 9 out of 10.
Well, that's absolutely fair enough, and some great scores there. And barring a couple of the critic scores being relatively low, I think it's pretty decent scores all around. Um, Given everything taken into account, all of our scores, critics, listeners, audience, gives Zombie an average score of 6.9 out of 10.
I was hoping for better.
It does.
It's the 69 movie.
It's the 69 movie. It doesn't quite. It doesn't get it up there into that sort of top 30 and 20 that you guys were predicting that it might do at the start of the show. It does mean that it is in 55th place on our leaderboard of 100.
About halfway though. I'll take it.
So it's currently sitting at a mid-table movie, and this will please Nico. So it's one place below The Special. Directed by a friend of the show, B. Harrison Smith, who was on to talk about the movie in that episode. And one place above Terrifier 2. We didn't even need to mention it, and I would just mention it naturally. Are you good with that?
Have a drinking game. How many times are we going to mention Terrifier in every episode?
Listen, Nico, I didn't.
I got told the last drinking game for this was me swearing.
Oh, that's yeah.
We had one on my old show for how many times I said motherfucker per show. I'm serious, dead serious.
I'm not as bad anymore. Like, I don't swear as much as what I used to.
You used to be really bad, Nico. You used to be really bad.
I think I've softened too. I maybe say it once or twice per show. I used to say it all the time.
Nico, we used to have we used to have a gash counter for you.
I haven't said gosh in a while, to be honest.
No, you haven't. Not gonna lie. And you probably forgot about it, and now I've reminded you, right?
But I got told that I used to say cunt a lot.
Yeah. I say cunt a lot too. I have a necklace, and it's this big blingy purple one, and it just says cunt, and I wear it. People are like, "What the fuck is the matter with you?"
I like that.
I put it on with my slut earrings. It's just like I'm a feminist, and I just feel like I like to reclaim these words, and they're my words. I can say them.
You need to wear your cunt on fucking screen one day. It'll be fucking brilliant.
I usually wear it a lot. So.
I mean, like
people are like, "Oh,
it's a term of endearment over here, so it's all good."
Yeah. It's a little different where you're at. Where I'm at, it's kind of shocking, especially for a feminist to say it. It's like, "Hey, it's my word. I'm reclaiming it." Cunt.
We would.
Folk here I've seen in years. You see them run to each other, going, "All right, you big cunt!" Every time.
It's such a normalized word here. Like it's ridiculous.
It is not over here. It is kind of like one of the big bads that you don't say. So of course I say it all the time, and I have big giant blingy cunt necklaces that I wear. I'm just like, hey.
Anyways,
so definitely wear your cunt necklace.
Anyways, yeah. So 55th place for Zombie. Listen. That's kind of where I thought it was gonna land. I didn't have as high hopes for it as I think as used to did. I just didn't see the critics and everyone else, and obviously I have the added benefit of taking all these notes together and putting the leaderboard together, so I got a little bit of a preview into it as well. But I think that's a relatively fair position. It could maybe have been a little bit higher. I think I would have liked to have seen it break that top 50 at least, and was considered.
I feel like it should have been grandfathered in. That's kind of what I was expecting.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a huge touchstone for Fulci. So now I'm curious, like if wink wink we ever do any more Fulci, where they would land, because of Zombie is kind of his most.
Well, yeah, it's always an interesting thing to sort of look at. So
there's a difference between most known and best.
Yeah,
correct.
Of course there is. But it's always interesting, isn't it, to see where films in the same franchise land in comparison to each other, or by the same director, or all of these things. It is always interesting to see that, and that's why I particularly. And we haven't really done a lot of sequels for a while. Maybe something I'll look to rectify with some choices moving forward, because it is always interesting to see where sequels.
I have some sequels that I'd like to do that are on my list, and they're kind of fun. I'm very curious what people would think of them.
Yeah, and
sequels can be tricky.
Sequels can be tricky.
Do you want to do a sequel week?
A sequel?
Well, a sequel month.
A sequel month. We'll think about it. We'll think about it. But because I'm looking down the list, and our number one movie is a sequel. It's Aliens. Aliens still sits as our number one movie, and then I'm trying to go down the list and have a look at see where sort of like the next sequel is. And
I picked a sequel that's on my list that we haven't done. You haven't even done the first film, but I'm like, I want to do the second film first.
Okay.
because it's my
Well,
favorite. It'll be a surprise
yeah,
to everybody when they find
we're
out.
not. I'm not as strict as I was on the old. I used to be on the old show. Be like, we have to do
Yeah.
franchises in order. Not as strict. And and sequels obviously doesn't have to mean just the second movie. It can be any movie in the franchise.
Yeah,
The next,
there's a lot of franchises out there.
the next highest.
Can we do Jason Goes to Hell now then?
Never stopped you.
Only we can do Freddy's
You
Dead.
did before. Fuck you, like we've got to do it in sequence. I'm like,
The
for
next-
fuck's sake, I've got to wait that long.
The next highest sequel is in 30th place, and it's Saw 10.
Oh.
Fuck.
I think a couple of my sequels can do better than that.
Yeah.
I think so.
You know,
I actually had a girl have a fucking mental rager at me at work, by the way.
good.
So, going to the subject of me doing a horror podcast, I do tell people, you know.
I know.
And I know you think I don't, but
Literally, I've never
she was
ever
like, "Oh,
said
so what's your
that."
highest movie then?" I said, "Aliens," and she goes, "Oh, you've obviously not done Alien yet." Then I'm like, "Yeah, we have," and she's like, "Oh no, it's so much better," and went and a full on like she was getting aggressive over it, like, "Oh, Aliens isn't even a horror movie."
Oh, there you go. That's always this the line that
See,
gets.
they're splitting hairs right
But
there.
yeah, she
You
was
just
going
kind of
mental.
splitting hairs. It is, but
Hello.
it's got more action and sci-fi in it, but it's still technically a horror movie.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Just kind of technicalities.
Anyways, right, before we get out of here, because that's pretty much anything done for this episode, Candy, do you have your list of horror movies there from the leaderboard? Because we're going to do a few more for your catch-up.
Yes, I am.
Okay, so today's 3 movies that I'm going to ask you about. Number 1, the first one is currently sitting in 14th place on the leaderboard, and it's Dog Soldiers. Let's get your rating for Dog Soldiers. This is a particular favorite of Nico's.
With Dog Soldiers, I gave it an 8, which is pretty high for me because
okay.
it's not really my kind of creature movie, but I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah.
I was in suspense there.
Nico was stressing there. You really were stressing.
No. I'm good on that one.
It's no secret. Me and Nico love Dog Soldiers. We fuck with that film so hard. But it is so. I think. It's just like that British sense of humor again, isn't it? You know, like it just hits such a sweet spot for us. And it's like it's a werewolf movie that's done so well. Which is such a rare thing, you know.
And I agree with that because I don't usually like werewolf movies,
Yeah.
but I thought it was pretty good. But when you get to like, sort of that type of humor, that's going to come up. I'll talk about that on another episode. But yeah.
You do for Nico. Despite Nico's relief there, you have negatively impacted Dog Soldiers because it's dropped from it's dropped from an 8.3 to an 8.2, and it's also dropped 1 place down to 15th. It's dropped just below Late Night with the Devil, which has just overtaken it by a split by a 0.1. So Late Night with the Devil.
Wow.
Do you know something? I'm gutted I wasn't on that show for Late Night with the Devil because I fucking love that.
You know something, Nico. You've told us that like 9 times now.
Like because like I'm not joking. Like, it's fucking. I've rewatched that again since talking about it. It's one of those ones I keep going back to for some reason. I don't know why.
Okay.
It's really one of the more fun movies that's come out this year.
Okay,
yeah.
So the second movie that we're wanting your rating for today is currently sitting in 46th place, and it's Eden Lake.
This is one of the few that I haven't seen.
Okay.
There's a couple on the list that I hadn't gotten to yet. So that's one of my don't have a score yet.
Okay. Well, I will just ask you then for the movie below it on the leaderboard, and we'll go with The Conjuring instead.
The Conjuring, I gave a 7, and I only rated it that high because I saw it in theaters, and I had such a fun theater experience with it that it's worth that. It was a great theater movie. It's not as good on a rewatch. And I also have a crush on Patrick Wilson. Isn't it? And Vera Farmiga, the bisexuality crush is going on. But when I was in theater, this is a really quick story. Sean and I had gone to see it, and during one of the jump scares, the guy and his girlfriend is sitting in front of us, and she was this little petite woman. He's this big buff guy. He got scared, threw a large popcorn in the air, and I have like really really long hair, and I'm very vain about my hair, and buttered popcorn in my hair. And because he screamed, he got so scared, and his girlfriend was like, "Shut the fuck up!" It was hilarious. Um, it was so funny. And then Sean and I are laughing, but I was really pissed about having butter popcorn in my hair. But yeah, it was a fun theater movie. It's not as good on a rewatch. So I gave it a 7 just for yeah, it was fun.
Yeah,
No,
we were not quite as
not great.
generous. We weren't quite as generous as you. Nico gave it a 5.5. I gave it a 5. Um, I actually one of the few things I actually think the sequel is better. I think Conjuring 2 is a better
I actually hated
film.
Conjuring 2. I did not like it.
I mean, I feel like it is a slightly controversial opinion, slightly unpopular opinion to say I think the second one is better.
Actually, no. Actually, no. Most people rave about the second movie, and the first movie they're like, eh. So not my experience anyway. Like I see that people like the second one more, and I was really disappointed with the second
Yeah.
one. I'm like, I thought this was supposed to be better.
Having said that, I really don't fuck that much with the Conjuring universe. I think the whole thing is a bit overrated, and the whole sort of extended Wanaverse as well. It just none of it really sits
It's
with me,
ridiculous.
and it's really annoying because I actually like James Wan, and I really like Saw and was Dead Silence I think as well. Like I really like those movies, and then I don't hate The Conjuring. I certainly don't hate Conjuring 2, but the rest of that sort of movies I just can do without, quite frankly. So it's a bit of a disappointing sort of come down. It felt like, James Wan started off really strong and then has dipped, and then you have Lee Winnell is kind of, who's obviously worked a lot with James Wan, has gone in the opposite direction and has really sort of went in the rise, especially, after doing things like Invisible Man, which we talked about in our remakes episode.
Right.
Anyways, the third and final movie that I'm going to ask you. Oh, by the way, that doesn't change anything to The Conjuring. It started off with an average score of 7. It still has an average score of 7, and it's still in 47th place. So it's maintained its spot. The final movie that I'm asking you for today is currently in. It's currently in 88th place after Zombie has been added to the leaderboard, and it is House of Wax from 2005.
I gave that a 3. I was very underwhelmed by it. And I don't know if it's because I'm so loyal to the Vincent Price version. And we did a top 5 remakes episode. I obviously like to check out remakes and stuff. I just thought this one was weak. Everybody was like, well, it was great to see Paris Hilton killed. And I'm like, okay, but that's your selling point.
Yeah.
It didn't have enough for me. And I thought the 50s version with Vincent Price was much better. So I tend to rewatch that one, and I haven't watched House of Wax since the first time I watched it way back when, early 2000s. So yeah, it's not one of the better remakes.
We
So
were a
3.
little higher than you on it. I gave it a 6 and Nico gave it a 6.5. I think it's a little underrated. I think it's just a fun movie. I have fun with it. I enjoy it. There's some fun moments in there, including like Paris Hilton and her kind of acting, and you've got Chad Michael Murray in there kind of acting. Yes, acting. So I think there's fun aspects to it. Nico, I think we were kind of on the same page about it when we reviewed it way back when.
Yeah.
Um,
It's the thing about it was, when I remember when it came out, the main selling point was, yeah, you're going to see Paris get killed.
Yeah.
That was the main selling point. And when you brought that up, I just thought it was fucking hysterical because that was the main point for it.
yeah, people were cheering in
Yeah, and so
theaters.
if that's your selling point, like you don't really have a lot to offer me then, like, because you're taking such a cool beloved story that was kind of iconic, featured, sort of similar to, like, I'm a big fan of EC comics, especially like the 50s stuff, like Tales from the Crypt and Walls of Horror, all those things. And it was the story featured in there, and then they did House of Wax and blah blah blah, and then it's like you can't fuck with that because it's kind of dear to me. So I got a little harsh on it.
Yeah. And speaking of Vincent Price, we may very well be covering a Vincent Price joint very, very soon. So I think
All signs point to
Very soon.
Maybe I'm giving this movie that we're going to review way too much fucking credit. Shouldn't, like, having Vincent Price's name attached to it is an abomination. Anyways,
yeah.
House of Wax, your score for House of Wax does have quite a bit of an impact on it. It drops its average from a 5.1 down to a 4.8, and it's moved from 88th place, and it now is in 93rd place. It's still one place above Halloween 3, though.
Damn it. Well, at least we got Halloween 3 up higher than it was. I'll take it.
Halloween 3 is now, well clear of the bottom 5, so you did some good for it. But yes, Candy, thank you very much for those. Thank you very much for those ratings. Those are the updated leaderboards, and we will get 3 more from you on our next episode. But until then, guys, that is it. That's going to do us for the show this week. Nico and Candy, thank you very, very much once again for joining me.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, you are most welcome. And to our listeners, thank you very much to anyone who has listened and downloaded this episode and shared this episode across our social medias. Our social medias are Twitter and X at Damned Podcast, Facebook and Instagram is Pod of the Damned. You can email us at podofthedamned@gmail.com, and you can subscribe to us on Patreon, patreon.com/Pod of the Damned. Candy, where can you be found?
You can find me at Candy Final Girl on X. You can find me on Instagram at Candy the Final Girl. Those are the main ones that I'm on, that I use. I am technically on Facebook, but it's just my Instagram being posted there. So better just go to Instagram. But also I have other links on my link tree. It's linktree/Candy the Final Girl.
Awesome. So up next on the show, it's Nico's choice. Nico, what are we reviewing?
Bloodbath, the House of Death.
Bloodbath at the House of Death. Oh boy.
It's on Netflix.
It is on Netflix. I was shooketh when I found it on Netflix. I never.
It's not on Netflix here, but it was on Tubi. I found it on Tubi.
I honestly, because I was like,
in the US.
When I was looking for it, I was like, where the fuck am I going to find this movie? Like, I'm going to have to like pay through the nose to like rent this off of Prime or something. No, it was just on our Netflix.
That's what I thought.
No, it was free on Prime for a while as well.
Yeah, it's just on our Netflix. Like, I was like,
it's got a bigger following than you'd think, by the way.
Well,
I found that out.
Yeah, because like I was shocked by how many people like responded to us when we were like putting the feelers out there. Because I would just put a movie up and be like, "What would you score this movie?" But for this movie, I was like, "Have you seen this movie?"
Yes. And so like I feel I when we did Tenebrae, I was like, I bet we get no responses to that. We got a couple, and with this movie, I'm like, are we gonna get any? So I'm always shocked.
Yeah. So
people have seen this, they have heard of it.
I mean, don't get me wrong, a good chunk of the reviews we did get were like, no, I've never fucking heard of this as well. but that is a discussion for next week. So until then, thank you once again, Candy Nico. Thank you to our listeners. And until next week on Pod of the Damned, just remember, you're damned if you do, and you're damned if you don't.